Hello everyone, my name is Jared Thomas, and today we are at the Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park here in Nashville, Tennessee to tell you guys about the different types of 10-pound steel maces that you can buy out there. So folks often ask me, what particular size weight should they start out with when purchasing their first steel mace? Now, if you go and Google online, you're going to find that most often you'll see a lot of articles that will suggest either a 10 or 15-pound steel mace, for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the number of reps and your ability to learn new moves and get better at the practice over time. I always recommend a 10-pound steel mace. Now, that said, before you begin going and jumping to Amazon or potentially any other company to go look for a steel mace, understand that the size and shape of the mace will change despite the fact that it remains 10 pounds from company to company and style to style. So this video is to tell you all about the differences in those varying styles of 10-pound steel maces from company to company, the ones that I like, the ones that I don't like as much, and the reasons why. Strap in and hopefully this helps. So the first mace that I want to tell you about today is the 10-pound steel mace from Yes for All brand. This is one that you're going to see most often on Amazon. It is likely my least favorite mace, although I love maces, and so I certainly still love this one. But there's a couple reasons why this is my least favorite mace. Honestly, the least favorite mace that I've ever held or touched. Number one is that it's got a very thin handle, or I should say a small diameter of handle. This 10-pound steel mace has a handle of about 1 inch, which means that it's a very skinny handle mace. And generally speaking, what you're going to find, and what has been my experience and largely the experience of most people that really get into mace swinging and actually invest effort into the practice, most folks, I would say even men and women, tend to like the 1.5 inch diameter handle, which is going to be a little thicker, much more similar to what you're going to experience out of a barbell feel. So especially if you have any former weightlifting experience or gym experience, you're going to probably find a thicker handle to just be more comfortable for your hand, as well as just gives you more to grip when you're moving the tool around your body, performing different movements, and so forth. So again, I would definitely recommend a thicker tail mace, but you may find that you like that skinnier tail. So it's really just a personal preference, but for me, I don't care so much for this 1 inch diameter tail here. And the second reason why this isn't my favorite mace by any stretch is because it's also really short. This mace is probably about 3 feet or so in length, and it's probably missing a few inches off the top here on the tail, which means it's not only a really just short mace, but it's a short mace with a really thin handle and just more weight in the globe as compared to its counterparts from other companies like, say, Onnit or Set for Set, White Lion, etc. So just keep that in mind. This Yes for All mace is not expensive. You can get them pretty cheap on Amazon, but as the name cheap goes, the quality is just not as high in my opinion, especially for somebody that wants to use a mace every day and really get into the practice. If you get one, it'll still work. You'll still be able to do virtually all the moves for the most part that you can do with any other mace, but again, just not my favorite. And honestly, if you're going to use it every day, if you're going to get into the practice, I highly recommend getting one with the 1.5 inch diameter handle, just a little bit longer. All right, so the second mace I'm going to tell you about here is a little bit better than the first. This is a company called Retrospect, and this is a mace that you can also find on Amazon. I like it because it's a little bit longer. It's actually a pretty much a standard length of a mace for the most part, as you're going to find close to about 39 inches or so, roughly what you're going to experience with, say, an Onnit mace or a Set for Set or White Lion or another reputable organization. You've got that skinny tail, which is just not quite as comfortable. Also, the globe in this particular case is much more of a oval shape, very kind of looks like a planet in some ways, but it just isn't quite my favorite. Again, the skinny tails I'm just never going to be a big fan of. When you begin really diving into your flow practice, you're going to want, I think, a greater grip to hold on to while moving the tool through your hands and around your body in a myriad of ways. And so generally speaking, that 1.5 inch diameter handle will become more interesting, more valuable, and just more comfortable for you as your practice advances. So not a bad mace, probably a little bit more expensive than the S for All. You can also get it on Amazon. So if there's not one at one of these other companies or they're out of stock, this isn't the worst thing that you can get. And the last mace that I'm going to show you here today is my most favorite of all. This is a 1.5 inch diameter handle, 10-pound steel mace, 39 inches from the one and only Onnit out of Austin, Texas. This is by far my favorite steel mace. Perfect length, the shape of the globe. It's just a really nice, good shape. It's a very circular globe. Fits well in the palm of your hand, so you can actually do lots of movements even with the globe in your hand. And again, you can't beat a 1.5 inch diameter handle. It just feels great. There's more to grip, and believe it or not, as your practice develops, that will become more valuable over time as you're learning how to use the tool and what becomes important to you. Understand that as far as it gets, as far as I'm concerned, this is my favorite type of steel mace. But you can also get very comparable steel maces from companies like Set for Set or White Lion Athletics. So you're definitely not pinned into having to use one company, because it is true that sometimes Onnit does get out of stock because they're very popular. But just some things to consider. Again, out of these three maces, I would definitely recommend a 1.5 inch diameter versus a 1 inch diameter. And I would generally recommend a mace that has roughly about 39 inch length in the tail, meaning that plenty long enough for you to be able to do all of the moves, not only just the 360 and the 10 and 2, but any types of flow moves that you want to learn. And it's just a really nice distribution. You should basically feel a nice balance point right here, about, oh, I don't know, maybe about not even quite half a foot away from the globe. And you're just going to notice that that's where the balance point is, and it just feels good as you're working the tool around. Truly, this has been my favorite steel mace from day one, ever since I first got my first Onnit mace, and so that is by far the one I would recommend. It's probably about maybe 20, potentially 30 bucks more than one that you might get on Amazon, but if you really begin to love swinging maces, you will ultimately put away, in my opinion, you'll likely put away that 1 inch diameter handle. Again, my name is Jared Thomas from Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park here in Nashville, Tennessee. This is the different types of 10-pound steel maces that you can use when you first started.